Hello, what's up? My name's Olivia. Happy March. I hope everybody had a wonderful little February. Making another little book recap video, and I'm really excited because I read some really good books this month, and I'm excited to talk about all of them. Now, I only read 6 books. I wanted to read more than I read last month because in January I read 7, but February is a short month, okay? And midterms are happening, and the last book that I chose is kind of long, and so I realized that I just wasn't going to be able to finish it. So 6 books. I still think it's pretty good, and they were all really good books. So I started off this month with 2 Stephen King books. I started off with Misery, and then I read The Running Man. Starting off with Misery, I absolutely love this book cover, by the way. This book was really good. This is one of my favorite Stephen King books that I've read so far. This is about an author named Paul Sheldon. He's this really famous author, and he has this book series about a character named Misery Chastain that's very, very famous, and that's why the book's called Misery. His character's named Misery. One day, he is driving down the road in the snow and gets in a really bad wreck, and somebody finds him, and this somebody happens to be a nurse, an ex-nurse. So she has the medical expertise to help him and nurse him back to health, but sadly, he has some really bad luck, and she turns out to be a crazy woman, a true psycho, and she also happens to be a huge Misery fan. So, bad luck, bad luck, bad luck, and super freaky, super fascinating. I really, really, really liked the characters in this book. I think Paul Sheldon is a super fascinating character point of view. Like, the way that Stephen King describes the way that Paul Sheldon kind of interprets the world, the way that he views everything that is happening to him is so creative and unique. He uses a lot of really great imagery and personification and metaphors and all different kinds of really, really cool techniques to describe the way that things are going down. And he paints a really, really cool picture of the woman who rescues / kidnaps him through the eyes of this writer. She's a hoot. Now, there is a movie for this book. It's a pretty popular movie. I watched it and I really liked it. It was one of those movies that I felt like did a good job taking what it should take, getting rid of what it should get rid of. They did it right. And also, I love Kathy Bates. Like, it's weird. I really, really like Kathy Bates. She's one of my favorite celebrities. And she did Annie Wilkes so good. Like, perfect. It's actually really interesting because while I was reading this, I was like, you know who would play Annie Wilkes really well? Kathy Bates. But then I was like, no, because she was already in Dolores Claiborne, and I don't think she'd be in 2 Stephen King movies, right? I was wrong, but I was also right. Anyway, she plays Annie Wilkes and she does amazing. And I also like the guy who plays Paul Sheldon. I like his facial expressions. The thing about books that I just absolutely love is the fact that you can be in their head and you can hear and see the way that they are interpreting the world around them. And it's so much more interesting than watching a movie, in my opinion. Like, you can see his face reacting, but it only can tell you so much. This is great. This book made me curious because a lot of the book, the way that Paul Sheldon sees the world is based off of the fact that he's a writer, and the way that a writer interprets things and visualizes things and imagines things. Like, he's got such a wild imagination, and the way that his brain understands and remembers things is in a very, very imaginative, creative, colorful kind of way. And I really found myself wondering, like, if that's how Stephen King interprets the world. Like, was he writing it based off of how he feels as a writer? Is that how he feels like being a writer feels? I don't know. Maybe he just made it up. Really good. So my next Stephen King book was The Running Man. This was another recommendation from my boyfriend, like The Long Walk was last month, because I guess he really likes Stephen King or something. I don't know, but he really wanted me to read this book, and so I did, and I was not disappointed. I was describing this book to somebody, and they were like, it sounds kind of like Squid Game. And I was like, yeah, this book is very much kind of reminiscent of Squid Game, or like the general concept of it. It kind of follows this dystopian America world where there are these game shows that people can go on for money, and they are basically really, really messed up game shows where they either nearly or actually kill you. And for some reason, people seem to like this, and they seem to be entertained by it and not at all disturbed. Basically, our main character named Ben Richards goes on a show because he wants to give some money to his daughter, his little baby daughter, who's very sick, and he doesn't have the money to help her and get her proper medical care, so he decides he's going to go on one of these shows to see if he can earn some money. So he is assigned to a show titled The Running Man, and this is probably the most deadly show in the entire game network. He's given 12 hours to run away and protect himself, and then after that 12 hours, a bunch of hunters are sent out to kill him. It doesn't help that the entire country is also against him, because people get rewards for reporting a sighting of the Running Man, and if the sighting results in a assassination, they get even more money. So people are very eager to rat this guy out and not help him. What I liked about this book is that it was very erratic. Like, you did not know what was going to happen next. Where was he going to go next? Who was going to find him? What was going to happen? Because, I mean, there's just such high stakes. It's very, very unexpected and crazy and really entertaining. I read this book in one day, and the ending, bro, the ending to this book is wild. Like, it gets crazy. Something else that I liked about this book is that there's a lot of elements of pollution and government control and classism. And I thought it was done really, really well because it didn't take away from the entertainment value of the book. It didn't feel like I was being lectured about that kind of thing. Oh, and another fun thing, this book takes place in 2025. So that's really interesting reading it from 2023's perspective. I don't think that we're headed in this direction, luckily enough. Yeah, this I highly, highly recommend. Next, I read Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Boylan, and I absolutely adored this book. Quick summary, it is about a woman, her name is Olivia, by the way, that's my name, and she has a son who has a girlfriend, and this girlfriend gets murdered. The son is being accused of her murder. What I really, really loved about this book, well, there's so many things. I really, really liked how it was emotional and touching, and it talked about all these different kinds of emotional things, which I eat up, I love. But there was also like the suspense and the mystery of a murder trial. So I felt like it was the best of both worlds. I felt like it was evened out really well. Kind of the way that it does that is it's split into 2 points of view. The girlfriend, who tells her story from the past for the events leading up to her death, and the mother of the boy on trial. And she talks about the present and, you know, how the trial is progressing and what she's thinking and what she's feeling. And I thought that that made for a really, really, really interesting setup. I felt like the structure of this book was very, very delicate, very detailed, done very, very well and purposefully. And I think like the past present thing, I love books that do that. And this does it really, really good. There's love and there's heartbreak and there's family and there's all kinds of things. And it's just, I love how broad it is and how there's so much in it. And it talks about a lot of different topics. For starters, the main character is a beekeeper. So we learn about beekeeping. We learn about fencing. We learn about hockey. We obviously learn about the judicial system for those Americans who might not be super well versed in it. I think something that's important to note before you read this book, there are a lot of topics about race, gender, sexuality, abuse, all different kinds of stuff. So those are big topics in this book, and I think it's really, really beautiful, and I think it's really important, and I think it's really, really well done. Just tied together in a perfect little bow. I think that this book was just so fun to read. Like, please just read it. And I think this book is extremely readable. Like, I think that anybody could love this book. I really do. You know, I don't think it's, because sometimes when I'm reading something like Stephen King, which is a little bit more gory, creepy, unsettling at times, you know, I'm like, this is not going to be for everybody. Like, I could not recommend this to anybody that I know. But this, I feel like I definitely could, so So then after Mad Honey, I read a little bit of a romance novel, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Now, this book is a pretty popular one, I believe. I know that she as an author is pretty popular. I know she has books like Book Lovers, Beach Read, something like that. But I chose this one, and I was actually a little bit confused because there is another version called You and Me on Vacation, and that was the one that I originally heard about. And so when I was trying to find it, I was kind of confused because I was like, where's You and Me on Vacation? This is People We Meet on Vacation, but like, is it the same thing? It is the same thing. Just different copies, I'm assuming, from different countries. So yes, this is a cute little romance novel about two platonic best friends named Poppy and Alex, and they go on vacation together every single summer, and they're just friends, okay? Slow burn friends to lovers. Very easy read, very just fun, nice, comfortable. I enjoyed it. I thought, like I said, I mean, it's entertaining. It's easy to read. It's, you know, it's nice. It's nice. I really liked the characters in this book. These two are both pretty cool. I thought that they were both done well. I didn't feel like they were boring. I didn't necessarily feel like she was just an eyes for the reader to look through. I felt like this was pretty good. I mean, there is, you know, a level of emotional immaturity in these characters of just like not being able to sort out their relationship and not being able to just talk about it in a mature way. So pretty much this book goes through and it talks about each of the summers that they've been on vacation with each other, and it's very interesting because throughout those summers you see them dating other people, and it makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, I would hate to be the person dating one of these two. Like, that would be so bad, because they're so close, they have been for so long, they clearly have a kind of connection, and it would just be so bad to be in the middle of that, and that made me kind of cringe. This book is nice little romance novel, nice little fun time. So yeah. Next I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I'm sorry. This was my boyfriend's Valentine's Day gift to me, and I absolutely really liked it. Also, there is a Netflix movie. Yes, I did watch it. It's just okay in my opinion. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. Rebecca. This book is about a young woman who is never given a name, which made me kind of sad, but young woman who's never given a name, who meets Mr. Maxim de Winter, and she falls in love with him and moves in to his giant estate called Manderley. And he is actually fairly recently widowed. His wife drowned and has passed away. So this woman is basically living in the shadow or with the ghost of his ex-wife, Rebecca. Even though there are no ghosts or anything paranormal in this story, it's just sad, eerie, kind of just emotional, gothic, like, just goodness. This girl is constantly comparing herself to who Rebecca might have been, and she feels like she's trying to like live up to it, and like everybody who she meets and all like the servants and everything all knew this Rebecca, and she feels kind of awkward kind of replacing her, and she feels like Maxim will never love her as much as he loved Rebecca, and it's really sad. And this girl, by the way, she's very, very shy. She's a wonderful character. She's a wonderful point of view. She's very shy. She's very anxious. She's very overthinking. And I feel like if you are similar to that, this book, it's a very nice point of view to read from. Good plot twists. Good. I absolutely loved this book. This like big, huge mansion. Lots of drama. Dramatic, gothic, beautifulness. The relentlessness of a vivid nightmare. That's a good way to put it. That was by Boston Herald. Give it a read. So the last book that I read was Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. I'm sorry. I don't know how to read that name, and I feel terrible about it. Tender is the Flesh. It's very, very short. It's very quick, and it is a lot. Just disclaimer right off the bat, it's gross, it's gory, it's messed up. It's basically about this world where all animals outside of the human race are contaminated with a virus that is deadly to humans. And so basically there is no more pets, no more zoos, no more eating meat. Animals are basically just like bad. They're bad, they're unsafe. And so these people decide, okay, look, we really like eating meat. So what should we do? Let's just start eating each other. Ugh, genius. The whole process of like meat is very similar, but with human beings in replacement of animals. And I've never in my life felt more compelled to be vegetarian upon reading this book. It follows this man who is owner of, I believe, a processing plant of human meat. It goes through and it shows you the whole process, and it's very detailed. Like I said, gory, gross, weird, just really messed up and kind of like heartless, and it is just and it's important to note the main character does not like what he does. He does not like the way that things are. He mostly does it in order to support his family and his father, who is really deteriorating. This book is a lot. If you like freaky, creepy, gory stuff and you want a quick read for it, this is a definite recommend. But I mean, like, it's really disturbing because humans. It really puts things into perspective about how animals are treated, and if you were to compare them to being a human life, it's very it's a good book. It's well written. The concepts are super interesting. It's good. It's just a lot to take in. There's just so much like inhumanity, and God, you gotta read this book. It's you gotta read it to really understand it. Like, it's So those are all of the 6 books that I read this month. The book that I'm currently reading that I did not get to finish is The Talisman by Stephen King, which also, by the way, my parents got it at a half-price book, and it came with a picture of a young child in it, like an old family photo of a baby. It looks like it might be from like the 80s. I feel like I shouldn't show it because like this is some stranger that I don't know, but he's in here. So yeah, starting next month I will have The Talisman to review, and that's it. Those were all really good books. I literally I loved all of these books so much. I would recommend all of them as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, especially for Tenders the Flesh and the Stephen King books. But other than that, yeah.